In today's video, I'll be exploring Akko's latest switch release in their Pro lineup, the creamy purple V3 Pros. Getting right into the unboxing, Akko knows their stuff when it comes to packaging, with their outer sleeve and sleek inner box. The switches themselves come in batches of 45 in this grid design. Okay, let's cover off some of the basics. The creamy purples are available for between $9.99 and $11 depending on which region you're in. They come in batches of 45 with the option to purchase either 45 or 90 switches. Using US regional pricing, you can expect to pay $19.98 for enough switches to build most keyboards, bringing the cost down to an impressive 22 cents per switch. I'll have links to each of Akko's regional sites to buy these switches from. Throughout this review, I'll be comparing these new creamy purples to Akko's existing tactile options, the cream blue and lavender pros. Alright, let's dive into the material breakdown of these switches. The creamy purple pros have a nylon bottom housing, a custom nylon MX style stem, a polycarbonate top housing, and a 21mm spring. The overall build quality of the switch is solid, and I have to say I'm quite fond of the boxy design they've adopted, paired with the colour scheme. Unlike its tactile counterparts, Akko decided to omit the dustproof stem on these switches, which may be a factor to consider if that's important to you. To ensure stability, these switches boast a 5-pin design, so you'll be able to use them with any 5-pin hot swappable keyboard you've got. If you're using a 3-pin PCB and want to use these switches, you can clip off the extra plastic pins. Just be sure to clip the plastic ones, not the metal ones. These switches bottom out at 3mm, significantly earlier compared to the 3.3 of the cream blues and the 3.8 of the lavender pros. This notably shorter bottom out might be a drawback for those of you who prefer switches with a longer range of motion, like myself generally speaking. Personally, with the tactile bump, I found the reduced travel to actually be less noticeable than, for example, the 3.1mm travel in the linear piano pros. Taking a look at the force travel diagram, similar to its tactile counterparts, the tactile bump occurs at 0.5mm right at the top of the switch. These new creamy purples rank as the lightest in terms of operating force, measuring around 30 grams compared to the 45 grams of the blues and the 40 grams of the lavenders respectively. This is where it gets a bit confusing for me, because I actually personally feel like the blues are lighter. During extended typing sessions, I didn't encounter any unusual discomfort, suggesting these switches would be suitable for the avid typists. However, it's essential to note that individual preferences vary, so it's best that you try them out for yourself. Overall, I didn't feel a big difference in the tactility of these switches versus the existing ones, but where I did find there to be a difference is sound. Sound-wise, the creamy purples produce a much talkier sound compared to the sharper acoustics of the other switches. The switches come pre-lubed from the factory, resulting in a smooth sound and feel with only a negligible hint of scratchiness. Now, I know if I don't cover it, I'll get questions about whether these switches are good for gaming, and to be quite honest, in 2024, I find it pretty hard to recommend any traditional mechanical keyboard switch over a Hall effect one if you're serious about gaming. The gaming question is almost entirely subjective in my opinion, but I would prefer a linear were I to opt for a mechanical switch. Before I get into my overall recommendations, I gotta play a sound test followed by a comparison sound test featuring all the switches I mentioned so far. After thoroughly testing the Akko Creamy Purple V3 Pro switches, I can confidently say that they bring a welcome addition to Akko's Pro lineup. Despite the specs, I found these switches to be a mid-tactility option that produce a talky sound, giving them a pretty nice overall sound and feel. At just 22 cents, these are an excellent choice for any tactile switch enthusiasts looking to try out a new set at a budget-friendly price. That concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider dropping a like and subscribing, because your support is greatly appreciated. A huge thanks to Akko for providing the switches featured in today's video. Rest assured, my thoughts and opinions remain unbiased and unaffected.